been experiencing. You are experiencing a lot of adjustment as you, very fast, because that is what you wanted. No, that is what you are demanding. You're acting with purpose. Now that things have been decided and have direction and intention, you are moving with purpose. And you're experiencing things on many levels. Your perspective needs to be, in order for this process to run smoothly, and we will go back to the analogy of going on a trip, like going to Florida, to a theme park, Disney World. We'll use Disney World. For the children who are behind, not driving, as they are on the trip, they have lots of questions. How long will it be? What will it be like? When will we eat? Where will we sleep? Well, how long will we stay there? There are so many questions. And the parents answer them. So sometimes it is better if the parents just sit and just give a full overview of what to expect. We will leave on this day. It will take this long to get there. We will do this. And that helps. When you're actually on the trip and you're in the car and you're riding and it seems just take forever and you're bored and you want to experience it, and how long will it be? It can be, driving on the trip is not usually the best time, the best part of the trip. You want to get there. You want to experience the things you want to experience. If you can have mini stops along the way of fun things to do, it can make the trip more bearable, more exciting. Well, we'll stop at this place, and at this place we'll stop at a hotel and stay overnight, and there'll be a pool and you can go swimming. Oh, that's good. Or, along the way there's this other place we're going to take a half a day and do this other little thing, or one day and do this other little trip part that's fun and exciting. And you're like, oh, okay, I look forward to that. And it makes the trip better. So we've had some little side excursions along the way to help you have a better trip and understand fully what's going on. No, this is not the part we need to tell you. There is releasing. There is not releasing, readjusting. You have been there for a very long time. No. You have been there in the physical and have in the physical adjusted to life as you have been experiencing it. There is realigning and cleaning out and back to the divine. And it is not always comfortable. Hello, dear one. You've been having there has been a lot going on. We told you that everything was going to be falling away. And when you heard that, you interpreted it as meaning external things on a grander scale. And that is true. But that was not why we gave you that message. We gave you that message because there is a realigning of perspective that is necessary for the next phase of God's purpose. While you were there in separation, though you were still connected, your thoughts and experiences had to be those of the separation in order to convey what it was like to live there, to be there in that now. During that time, you acclimated into, well, let's say somewhat acclimated into the environment in which you were existing. It was never a good fit. But there has been we wanted to say the word shift, but we don't want to evoke ideas that are not. Yes, you are seeing the bubbles of light, and then the waves. It's like, yes, it's very much like waves lapping on a beach. Whoosh, whoosh. Yes, it is like the waves. Yes, exactly. Okay. You are seeing and experiencing the divine coming in like high tide. The waves are coming in and lashing, brushing up against you, and you feel it, and it's growing and growing, but you don't necessarily notice it between each wave, that the tide is back rising. You need markers that you notice that somehow where the water was before it is moved where it wasn't. And in separation, it is easy to get lost and not notice what is around you because you are separated from the big picture. So first, we had to let you know who you are. But that had to be given to you in stages. We had to let you know where you came from, who was your family, what your home was like. But we did this process slowly and fast because you demanded it fast. But we introduced you to the great Father, the great Mother in line. We introduced you to God, and you got to see them from a certain perspective. And you acclimated. Then we helped you to see it from a little bit bigger perspective. Not bigger, broader perspective. And then we helped you to see the immensity of the divine realm. We helped you to understand some of what is going on in relation to what you were doing. But in separation, there is a sense of smallness and limitedness that was not benefiting you. But you were uncomfortable with it not because this is not who you are, or because of anything, but because of what separation had, or does. No, not separation. It's not what separation is. Those who have taken advantage of separation, have instilled protocols by which it is undermined being in your fullest divinity, acknowledging it, knowing it. All who stand in their divinity will have those who deride them and bring them down, and they fear divinity. Even within yourself, there was anxieties and adjusting to be done. And slowly we have been revealing slowly more and more so that you can grasp more and more. My dear, you are not a soul. You are not of the universe of the souls, because we have now shown you and helped you to understand what is described there as the multiverse. From the perspective of the universe of the souls, it is a multiverse. There are many separate universes. From our perspective of the divine, existing at the throne of God, the source of all life. It is all one cohesive creation. But from the perspective of souls, there would be many different universes. At one time, a person's universe would be their continent. And then it went out as knowledge and understanding grew. It eventually grew to their universe became the earth. And in fact, they use it even on earth to this day. Sometimes when they talk about something that's done or wants to be done around the whole earth, they call it universal. The perspective of those on earth at the time is still quite limited in grasping. And then there was the universe of the solar system, and then there was the universe of the galaxy, and then there was the universe of understanding there are clusters of galaxies and and it just goes on and on and on and on and on. That they want to look out and they want to read, they want to the telescopes and understand, and this is the ends of the universe. And in the metaphysical community, they have grasped that there is in spiritual communities, they've grasped that physical manifestation is just the plane of, or expansion of, it's not really plane. I'm calling it called expansion and expanding and creating of the souls. That works, yes. And that souls have expanded and created much in the physical. And souls have expanded and created within the soul universe many dimensions within that soul universe. And they have designed as it went along, as they matured and created, they have went along and they have created and expanding within their expanding in dimensions, multidimensional existence and growth. You have gone to within the world, not you. They have gone through within the universe of the souls. They have gone to the farthest realms of experimenting. She is trying to picture it, and it is coming off more complicated, because within the souls of the universe, you have the farthest reaches of their exploration, which is the darkest of the dark. And the separating of divinity as far and as extreme as it can. And it is both within the universe of the souls, but it also is, how am I going to explain this? When she was first imagining, I'm trying to grasp the universe of the souls, because we are expanding her understanding. We showed it to her first and allowed her to understand it as like a bubble. Yes. And we were helping her to see that the universe of the souls, originally when we were showing it to her, was like an air sac and lungs. And the universe of the soul was one bubbly sac. And other universes were other bubbly sacs that all lived within. And all the universes existed in like their own bubbly sacs, connected like as air sacs within the lungs. That was the first images we were giving to her. It was a simplified understanding of the interconnectedness and the cohesiveness of the many universes that are separated and yet still connected. We have been in a process of expanding and giving more information each time, because there has been much speculation and fluff has been added to, distortions have been added to concepts of creation, God, souls, everything, the all. So now we're going to bring to the next, we're going to try to help broaden the understanding a little more. In actuality, from the universe of the souls is not actually in a bubble sac. It is more like interwoven throughout creation, but having its own unique space. And if you were to see it in a, she keeps going back to, because also to this idea of a 3D mandala, or a multidimensional mandala for creation. The darkest, the dark, the souls, in which the universe of the soul exists, it would be on the outer edges and reaching inward and outward at the same time. But just said it. Like the corona of the sun, it is on the outside edges. It goes, that is what you are experiencing. That's how it exists. And there are other, we're not going to go into that. She is wanting to understand how the other universes, what they all are, where they came from, how they fit. Okay, we're not ready. No, you're not ready for that. That is too much, and that is not going to be, it would distract from what is important for you to understand at this time, from where you are existing, and it will not be beneficial for where you are. All of creation. Let me say, okay, we'll go back to the beginning, and we'll go back. We're trying to bring this picture into more understanding. First, there was God, the source of all light, beginning of all creation. Then He created the Great Father, the Great Mother, and light. The Great Father, the Great Mother in Light had all the knowledge, and all that was of God was of them also. They were, in many respects, his equals, though he still was God, the source of all light and the creator of all. But they were, he could have, what would we call it? He could have, it was he could have communication and work and understand and grasp. And with ones who are contemporaries-ish, sort of, nah. And the Great Father, the Great Mother, and Light, and God, the source of all light, have a special bond. They work and interact with each other in a very unique way. They're, from the perspective of the universe of the soul, and from where you are, the immensity of them, of us, is unfathomable. It's unfathomable. And not just in the immensity of size and understanding, but the very nature of who we are. And God created from God all of the divine realm, which is immense, beyond immensity, and very full. It is the mother universe, if you wish to call it that. The universe from which everything else comes and flows and interacts with and is nurtured by. And there are many. There is much that comes off. Many, 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 as you would call them, universes that interact and flow and build and grow. And then at some point, there was created souls. And souls were unique and different from other creations of God. And for the souls we created a home, a playground, a school. And there were those that took a special interest in nurturing and working and assisting. You would call it like older siblings to the nature of the soul, to the souls. The archangels and the angels, as you know them, took a particular interest, but souls were given free will, because that is God's nature. He is not controlling at all. He's like, oh, go ahead, try this, try that. And they wanted to allow as much openness and free will, while still to see what would happen, to explore, see how they would explore, to see how they would broaden and bring light and beauty into, and create an interest into the everything. And souls have been very expansive and interesting. Greatest show, the greatest show, the greatest wonders, because they're very expansive and want to try and explore and do and create, very creative. Oh, so creative. But as things were progressing, and souls who came into this universe earlier, we'll call from a linear standpoint, earlier, and as they would expand and grow and create and expand and grow and create, and new souls would come into the picture, and they would expand those who spent more time expanding would try different things, and they would get patterns and in their limitedness within their universe. Even though they liked expansion, they wanted to control. And they want to say, okay, this is what worked for me. So therefore, when new ones come along, I'm going to have them do the same thing. And the more that follow the same pattern, they became comfortable in that pattern. There was still expansion and growth because you cannot keep divinity only following a certain pattern because it does not like that. It does not like that. And God gave them extreme free will within the soul of the universe. And you had, instead of just an open expansion and growing and fun, certain souls they'd find a pattern that they liked and they would just continue on in that, going back to it and expanding, but only from a certain point. And this created cultures within the universe of the souls. And there were many cultures created. And there were those who would jump from culture to culture, enjoying and learning from culture to culture. And this was an interesting thing to watch. An interesting way to see in which they were expanding and growing, and it was affecting the all. And as they expanded and grew, there would be dimensions sort of formed. All souls began with God, the source of all light, which does not exist in a dimension, but all dimensions exist. He exists in all dimensions. We'll try that. But once they separated from this, and went out to explore, when they first separate from God, they also do not exist in a dimension. But they've gotten into this thing, or this pattern of having, by their growth and expansions, they have naturally caused dimensions to occur in the growth and expansion of working within divinity in a very interesting way. And within those dimensions, they have these cultures. And because they all came from God and loved the connectedness of it, they form cultures and they have leanings in certain directions. So you have many dimensions and many cultures, and you have many cultures within dimensions. And it creates a lot of interest and play, and it's lots of interest. Great expansion. Much exploration and interest in learning. And though it was not that it had to be that way, and though some saw problems with it, having these different dimensions or levels, overall, it had proved to be beneficial for soul to learn and grow through dimensions, much as you have there in your education system grades. And it's like, oh, okay, well, if this is how the souls of the soul universe want to expand and grow and bring more in, and we saw the growth in there, like, okay, we'll let them do that. Go ahead, go for that. There were always some that were like, this isn't working. This is not good. But it was like, okay, go. No, we see great one. But see, there is a limit to how much learning by grades in school is beneficial. You must also have, at all times, a freedom and open-endedness to move freely from one space to another. And that if someone wants to learn something in a different way, in a different pattern, it should be equally allowed. But the dimensions became so strong and so separated, it became very difficult for a soul to freely move and just move however they wished. It became more and more controlled and constrained and difficult. And the longer this continued on, the more limiting it became. And became more and more a regurgitation of the same things over and over again than an expansion. And it came to the point where those who had a certain understanding were taking advantage of those who had not come to that certain understanding. And they were keeping them in a certain loop to take advantage of them. You could compare it to that of a schoolyard. That there were maybe, say, the 4th graders were on the same schoolyard with the kindergartners, 1st, 2nd, 3rd graders. And the 4th graders, because of their larger size and more understanding, some could be kind and helpful to those of the younger grades. But also some could be, and some could be mean to those of the younger grades and be bullies. And some could truly try to be nice, but they're controlling the younger kids in the way that they feel is beneficial, but not necessarily allowing the younger kids the freedom to just play however they wanted. And this is what has occurred. And it has become all the souls knew. So it was very hard. It was very hard to not follow this, because all the souls, all the ones who control souls, and see also again, once again, souls were between lives. Souls should always return to God, the source of all light. There should be a coming home to Daddy, telling him what you did today. And Daddy can tell you a bedtime story. You can sleep, rest, relax, and then the next day you can go out and have fun again. Somewhere along the line, there have been those who did not want the souls to return to Daddy, at least not completely. They instead wanted to place themselves in Daddy-like, God-like positions. And so that between the lives, rather than the soul returning to God, they had the soul return to guides, teachers, others that were not God, the source of all light. They also created other illuminated beings that people could go to, souls could go to. This kept the souls within the dimensional constraints and the cultural constraints, and kept them from truly expanding and being their divine selves. But it twisted and contorted the souls and the divinity of the souls to ways that they thought would be beneficial. At first, it may just have been a small distortion, but after subsequent lives, and the distortion became stronger. And with each dimensional raising, the distortion became built upon. And there are now those from the plane where she is experiencing this physical life, to the other dimensions, they seem to be of extremely high dimensions and great wisdom and knowledge and love. And yes, they do have this comparatively to where you are at. And they may realize when they get to these higher grades of dimensions that some of the behavior that they had when they were, say, on the fourth dimension, or the fifth dimension, or sixth dimension, oh, I wouldn't do that now. I've learned better. And that is good. But that they learned better. But that distortion still took place. And in some instances, no, not some instances, there is still a little distortion there. They are not fully in their divine selves because they have not returned to God in between each physical lifetime experience. And we don't want to say not see the beauty and wonder for what it is, but we must see how the distortions have played out and what they have created and how it has infected all of creation. If we go back to the illustration at the beginning of a universe being like an air sac in the lungs, if something is breathed into the lungs, it is processed throughout, moves throughout the whole of the being. If you are breathing in chemicals, those chemicals will be taken into the bloodstream and move throughout the body. The distortions that have been breathed into the universe of the soul have moved throughout creation. It may just be a little bit molecule here or a little molecule there, and they may not, and we realize that that is where it came from their perspective, but it is affecting all of creation. And in one sense, those of the divine realm, though they are created, they are not really part of what we're talking about of the multiverse. The multiverse exists outside the divine realm. Not really outside. The divine realm is the divine realm, is the throne and the seat of God, and we're in the realm of God, where He exists, where He is His home. Everything else is an expansion of that. That is why what is going to occur, God is going to go. God is going to be in everything. Not just that He has created and then therefore is still connected to, but He Himself, the person that is God. He is not sending someone. God Himself is going to go throughout all of creation, throughout the multiverse, and everything that connects, and everything. If it is, then He will be there, and to realign. It is already occurring. It is already being experienced. To places that have experienced less of the distortion, it is going quickly and smoothly and easily. They're so surprised that there was anything going on there. But the area where you are is like it has been the lung of a smoker. There's lots of damage. There is lots of disease. There's lots of distortion. There is lots of mutations that have to be. And we're not just talking about just there in the darkest of dark. The distortions have reached into the surrounding, all of the universe of the soul. Even those who are of what you would consider to be higher dimensions. And there is a he is he is coming in, and he is realigning and bringing them back to their fullest light selves. That is why we had She, which is an extension of the Time Weaver, to experience another universe. Because we are honoring you in that. We want you to understand your value and remove the blocks and hindrances that have been placed upon you with the concept that you must exist in dimensions of school and you must follow certain patterns in order to progress forward. What is going to occur? What is occurring is not going to be that those of this dimension or that dimension are going to assist you, because the concept of dimensions, the way they have existed before, is going to become much looser. Imagine the difference between, say, someone who goes to a regimented school program of specific grades to having someone who has a house or a school with a single schoolroom. Yes. And within that single schoolroom, you have everything from a 5-year-old to a 25-year-old, learning everything from colors and ABCs to, from your perspective, like quantum physics. But they're all in the same room. And they're all interacting. They are not separated all off. And that they will have the freedom to move from one to the other. And then, and that way, they will not feel separated from one from the other. The 5-year-old will not feel separated from the 25-year-old, or from, say, the mother or the father or the uncle or the aunt, and they will all be teacher and they will all be student. And they will all be carrying in a unified oneness. Because too much souls have done separation like no one else had, no other creation had done separations. It's separated. It's continuous separate, dissect, separate. But they have separated so much in so many ways that they have completely lost themselves. So now they're going to be brought back together. And then you will find out that which you thought you were accomplishing by separation is nothing compared to what you're going to accomplish in the connection and connectedness and the freedom. She is seeing it now. She is getting it now. And now it makes sense. It makes drawn sense because about her choices and her ideas with which she was driven to, that she had to follow, that were not mainstream in her culture. It's like, oh, why did I have to do it this way? Why did I start going the regular path but then go off veer in a totally different direction? This is why. Yes, for those who may hear this, yes, dimensions exist, and you can learn things from those from other dimensions. But all this separation is not beneficial for you. It's not going to be existing like this. This is going to be, you are not going to be going from 3rd grade to 5th grade. You're not going to take summer school through 4th grade and then the 5th grade. Oh, wow, look what we did. And then these other grades, they also will go up a grade or two. we're doing away with the whole school system. The whole dimensional system is not going to exist like that. Everything is going to be interdimensional. The soul of the universe of the souls is going to become it's going to be interdimensional, and what could the word be? First, you will become comfortable with the interdimensionality with all the souls within the souls of the universe, and working there. And then from that, it will move out into an interconnectedness with understanding of all of it is. That is still a long ways off. But that is where what we're going to be bringing about. That the universes will be more aware of each other and interconnecting with each other and realizing that interconnectedness. There's going to be a more connectedness even than does already truly exist. She is getting a little bit overwhelmed as she sees it is still blurry in her mind. We are not there. There is no need for that to be all come out now. That's just what happened, because she as the time weaver, as she's already connected to all of everything, she is very excited about the prospect of this. But where you're at, they can't even interconnect with those of everybody in the same town. How on earth can we even discuss the interconnectedness with the all? So this, yes, I know she goes on, but this, what about this? And then no, slow down, dear. Let's just get the universe of the soul straightened out and fixed and realigned and working smoothly. It is working out.